Hello and welcome everybody to Game 6 of LiquidTLO versus Grubby. I cannot believe I'm still going with these casts. Holy cow, you guys, I've never casted a best of 7 before. This is my first ever best of 7, and so far it has been such an epic series of games. Right now, we just saw a crazy proxy Stargate from Grubby where he did some early aggression with Void Rays just as TLO moved out to attack the base of Grubby, and Grubby was able to defend the attack, and TLO just could not get up any Marines to deal with the forces of Grubby as he was preparing to start producing Marauders as he has in many of his past games. He was able to take off a couple of early wins from Grubby in games 2 and 3 by having a very heavy Marauder Ghost style of play. But now here on Shakuras Plateau, I will be interested to see what TLO is going to be going for here, spawning in the top left position. And spawning here in this bottom right position as the green Protoss, we have Grubby. Grubby, I am so interested to watch his style of play. He's got such a unique style of play. It's always so well thought out. If there's one thing I have to give it to Grubby for having, it's just amazingly well thought out play. The placement of every single building, the placement of every unit when it's in combat or out of combat is always just very well thought out, and you can always find a purpose for everything Grubby does. So, I'm actually going to be very interested to see what both of these players are going to be going for. As I mentioned in the previous game, these players have now just played each other 5 games in a row. This is game 6, so they're starting to get familiar with each other's style. And as I was saying in the previous cast, you start to get to a point in these tournaments where you can start to psych yourself out. After several games, you start to think to yourself, well, should I continue to go for the same style of build? If a style of build is working, should I keep on doing it, or should I expect that now he's going to counter this style of build, and should I go for something a little bit different? Or in the case of Grubby, am I just going to build a proxy Stargate and just Void Ray him to death? It can get very difficult in these best of 7 series to even just have the stamina to deal with this many games in a row of this intense play. Some of these games have been very much longer games, and so it can be very difficult here, and players can start to get very mentally tired at this point in the game. But both of these players, I'm hoping, are both they're very experienced in the tournament scene, so I wouldn't be surprised if they are both have been practicing to have this much stamina and have been just working out tons and hundreds and hundreds of games in these matchups just to perfect their style of play for this style of tournament play. By the way, I haven't mentioned this in a while. I'm not sure exactly where this tournament series is from. I just went online and I saw a best of 7 with LiquidTLO and Grubby, and I was like, I have to cast this series. So I downloaded the entire series. I've been trying to find out. I was trying to do some research this morning. I think it might be from ESL. I think it might be from the GO4 SC2 tournament. I'm not sure. If somebody could confirm that, I would love to know. I've been trying to find out where this match was played, but I haven't been able to find out yet, so I'm still going to have to do some more digging around and figure out exactly where these games are from. So again, if you know where these games are from, please comment and let me know exactly where these are from, and I will update my postings accordingly. So right now, it looks like TLO has gone for a no-gas expand style of play. He didn't get any gas at the beginning of the game, got 1 barracks up, and then threw down his command center. This is it's a pretty safe move on this map just because you are pretty well protected in the back. There will be no proxies. If there will, they'll be down here on the ground. They cannot place any proxies up here because there are destructible rocks in the way. They have also spawned cross positions, meaning that this is about the farthest you can get. And also, for ground forces, you have to control this portion of the map. This portion of the map, if you can control a Xel'Naga watchtower, is the only way for ground forces to get to your base. Well, pretty much, unless they want to destroy a lot of destructible rocks. In the early game, this is the only way for ground forces to get to your base. So fast expanding here, as long as you're very mindful of this center area of the map, can be very safe on this map. Also defending this, this is a kind of wide choke, but it's common for Terran players to place 3 barracks there and completely wall it off. giving them even more defense at that expansion. Grubby also has thrown down his expansion, is now saturating his expansion. Checking out the Harvester count right now, we can see that the Harvester count's about 29 to 24, pretty close for both of these players, and holy cow, I'm getting a little bit of lag. I don't know if you guys are seeing that, but I'm getting a little bit of lag on my screen. If you are, I apologize, and don't know why I'm getting that lag. So, right now we actually have 3 warp gates down for Grubby right now. Nothing else has gone down. Another unusual pylon has gone down here for Grubby. Grubby now poking in with a few stalkers, trying to see if he can't poke in, deal a little bit of damage, and scout what exactly his opponent is doing. He has seen a lot of Marines here at the front of the base. This means that it'll be safe for him to assume that something else is happening with the gas right now. TLO with a nice one. Losing a stalker there a little carelessly. Grubby saying nice. I don't know whether these players are familiar with each other and whether they have any prior experience except for these games here today. But this could be a little playful or just a little bit of teasing going on from both players. I'm sure it is not bad-natured at all, but more bunkers now being thrown down for TLO. TLO trying to be very, very safe here. He has scouted his opponent, did expand, but he is still worried that there could be a little bit of early aggression here from Grubby, so he is now placing down a few bunkers, is now getting his factory up, as well as 2 starports going down right now. A reactor going down. I think it'll be safe to say that these starports will be swapping to those factories. This is a style of play we saw earlier from TLO, and all the Marines now of TLO are now moving out, and Grubby's now pulling all of his stalkers back, trying to do a little bit of kiting here, but he might lose a stalker unless he's very careful here. He's actually being pretty risky here with his unit control, and 1 stalker does fall. So far, only 1 zealot has gone down. If we check out the units lost tab, we can see that they are pretty even right now in resources. Grubby's constantly just poking in with those stalkers, trying to be very annoying with those stalkers, getting a few extra Marine kills there, and even coming back for more. He's even microwaving this 1 stalker with shields to the front. This means that he's going to be able to do maximum amounts of damage, and oh, Grubby, careful there with that 1 stalker. More Marines now on the field. We currently have 4 barracks now coming up. We have 2 with Tech Lab, and very quick stim there. Very quick combat shield is now up for TLO. This could indicate that we're going to be going for a very early, some early pressure here with an early stim timing attack. In the base of Grubby, we see a very, very heavy sentry count. Grubby, again, with this forward pylon that is placed in a very, very unusual location. I love this from Grubby. He places these pylons in such forward and unusual positions that they rarely get scouted and taken out. And this means that he can warp in a lot of units directly to his opponent's base in the late game, and as well as keep him continually stocking up them warped-in units in the early game. Again, now that his shields have recharged, it looks like Grubby's going to be poking into the base of TLO again. TLO now pushing out, stimming a small group of Marines there at the front to try to catch these stalkers off guard. Grubby has seen now that these forces are moving up for TLO. TLO has now revealed that he does indeed have stim, and so it looks like Grubby is now going to be moving out all his forces to meet the stim timing attack of TLO. Some force fields are now going to go down, and no, didn't quite catch any units there in those force fields, but TLO just storming right past them and now moving into the natural of Grubby, and it looks like Grubby is now pulling back. He's going to place some force fields here to try to buy him some time so that he can warp gate his, not warp gate, chrono boost. I forgot what it was called there for a second, but it's cool, guys. It's cool. I remember now. So he can chrono boost here on his warp gates and get some more ground forces in, stall for as long as possible with those sentries. TLO now poking up in to check and see if there's a third down here for Grubby, and is now just rallying more forces in. Grubby now with this forward observer does see that all these forces are now moving in, is going to try to get some nice force fields there, and is now committing to these attacks. I'm surprised he's not actually pulling back to get a few of those Marines there that are on the low ground. TLO does have sight. Keep in mind that because of these medevacs here, TLO does have sight. He is not trapped there on the low ground with no sight up onto that high ground. He is still able to do damage and shoot over those force fields. But it looks like TLO is going to be stimming in again, moving in, trying to deal a little bit more damage to Grubby, and Grubby forced to pull back right now and try to stay back for as long as he can. His sentries are now low on energy. Looks like he has enough energy for 1 or 2 force fields there, but has to be very, very careful about how he spends those force fields. If he uses those force fields, he's not going to be able to Guardian Shield. Some Marines now being elevated up into the main of TLO, forcing Grubby to have to split off part of his army to come up here and deal with these Marines. In the meantime, I wouldn't be surprised to see TLO stim up and try to deal some damage here in the main. The Zealots being taken out, actually, these Marines being very, very annoying, actually dealing a lot of damage here. Takes down a pylon, is going to get another pylon here. Another stim goes down, more forces from Grubby now moving back into the main. In the meantime, it looks like TLO is going to be getting ready to expand as long as he has his opponent here contained, and more Marines stimming in from the front, trying to force some force fields there, stimming with small groups of Marines, going to try to force fields to come down there so that when he does decide if he wants to go in for a big engagement with all his Marines, there will be no energy left on those sentries for those force fields. Grubby now, I think he might have even tried to warp in a couple of units there in the back. This Marine did take some damage here, and but it looks like TLO is going to be just moving into his expansion. Grubby, finally feeling like he is safe enough to move out, is now pushing out with all his ground forces, has macroed up quite an army here, and is now moving across the map with a lot of forces, and getting caught out of position there a little bit with those stalkers. A lot of stalkers there going down. Zealots now going in, taking a little bit of damage for these stalkers. All these stalkers trying to deal as much damage as they can. Sentries getting focused there at the front, but it looks like this is a lot of stimmed Marines here from TLO, and TLO is going to be forcing the forces of Grubby back to his natural. In the meantime, he is now just planted his third base at his expansion and is now doing a bit of a worker count here. He's going to be sitting on 3 bases very soon. Grubby did manage to sneak a probe out and is now throwing down his expansion, but TLO is going to be setting up this Marine here to scout that expansion out pretty quickly here. So TLO is going to know that this expansion is going down. Grubby, again, with very, very good observer placement, always very careful about where he places these observers, is now sending this observer down to this third to see if his opponent is expanding. This will tell him whether his opponent is committing to a 2-base all-in attack, or whether his opponent is going to be going for a longer macro style of game. And just now that observer just reached the third and has now seen that this third has not been up for too very long. There are no refineries down yet. Sees a lot of mules here and not that many SCVs. And so he is now going to be moving out. He has 1 Archon now out on the field and is going to be pushing out to try to deal some damage here. As he was kind of on the ropes there for a while, looks like he's now going to be moving out for an offensive of his own. On the production tab, we can just see lots more gateways coming in. Looks like we are now getting up to 9 gateways, 10 gateways right now for Grubby. He is sitting at +2 attack upgrades and +2 armor upgrades as well, and he is researching that +3 attack upgrade for all his ground forces. Zealot Charge is now coming up, as well as Psystorm, which is being chrono boosted out. It looks like Grubby is going to be going for a Psystorm based timing attack here, where he's going to be getting some High Templar and going in for an early attack against this Bio Force, try to catch TLO out of position there with some very nice Psystorms. Grubby planting a few of his units up here at his main. Knows that drops are always a potential problem. He has placed this pylon here, very, very nice pylon placement, as well as a probe here, which will help him to expand later. He'll be able to expand right when he wants to, and it'll also be able to scout any kind of drop play here, so I like this style of play. Grubby catching, very nice blink there from Grubby, catches a medevac out on the field. Marines moving in, trying to do some scouting action, and it looks like TLO is getting ready to expand to its 4th base. Grubby now controlling the center of the map, has taken both Xel'Naga watchtowers. On the TLO side of things, we have a lot of ghosts out right now. Looks like we have 7 ghosts on the field and more are joining. Lots of medevacs, a very heavy Marine style of play. This is very interesting. TLO is adjusting to what he sees in his opponent. Earlier we saw his opponent go for a lot of Colossi, but because he has seen that there are not a lot of Colossi out on the field right now for Grubby, he's going for a much heavier Marine-based army. He does not yet know that his opponent has Psystorm, and so he needs to be very, very careful with those Marines, as those Marines will fall very, very quickly to those Psystorms. Very big engagement here going down. EMP's going down on all the forces of Grubby. The Marines here just doing massive amounts of damage. Enough Marauders are here to be able to slow those Zealots from dealing too much damage as he kites back just a little bit. In the meantime, forces being microed here for TLO. Very, very nice control from TLO as he's now going in, dealing massive amounts of damage. A lot of forces of Grubby are now going down, and Grubby is not going to be able to hold it, and Grubby GG's out of this game. Holy cow, is this game, or this series, been back and forth, ladies and gentlemen. TLO pushing forward with a very heavy Marine count, with a little bit of Marauders there, enough to get that concussive shell slow on all of his opponent's forces. Very, very nicely timed attack. This means that we are now 3-3 here after Game 6. in TLO versus Grubby, and we are now going to be going into Game 7. Can you believe it, ladies and gentlemen? We are going into Game 7 right now.